Yeah. Run it up, blondo. Run it up, blondo.
The 2021 NBA Draft is only 2 weeks away, and I know Magic fans are going over various prospect videos and mock drafts online to get a sense of what the Magic are likely to do on draft night. The two main prospects being penciled in for our 5th pick are Jonathan Kuminga and Scottie Barnes. And I'm also seeing the same rotation of 4 names being James Bouknight, Moses Moody, Franz Wagner, or Keon Johnson for our 8th overall pick. Now, that's cool, but what some of these draft experts forget or fail to realize is that the two men in charge of making the picks for the Magic on draft night are team president Jeff Weltman and GM John Hammond. If you ever go over the drafting history, then you'll discover a pattern. Is that they usually reach on their draft picks or make unexpected ones that nobody could have predicted. They make picks based on analytics, and their analytical models results in valuing uber athletic players with long wingspans. Raw prospects with superstar upside that possess both offensive and defensive skill sets that could be transferable to the NBA. Here, let me break it down for you guys before I get into everything. Weltman was an assistant GM to then GM of the Bucks John Hammond in 2008 when they created a blueprint of taking lengthy and athletic players with two-way potential with the draft picks. It started that same year when they drafted on the potential of Joe Alexander, who was an athletic marvel and had great defensive potential for a guard. He was a similar prospect to what Keon Johnson is today, but Alexander was a huge bust though, and probably their worst ever draft pick together. They made up for it though in the coming years by first drafting Larry Sanders, who had a massive 7'7" wingspan and was a defensive force for a couple of years. And in 2011 when they took a chance on Tobias Harris, who was the youngest player in that draft with a limited scoring upside. Tobias actually measured 6'6" with a 6'11" wingspan, and they moved down from the 10th pick to the 19th to grab Tobias. It goes to show that if they want their guy, then they'll get him by moving down, something we could see this year as well. They followed the same format in 2012 when they drafted John Henson and his 7'4" wingspan, even though they had a logjam at the center position at the time. Years later, Weltman was Masai Ujiri's right-hand man with the Raptors when they infamously reached and drafted a prospect named Bruno Caboclo, who was unknown in 2014. He didn't really pan out, but they more than made up for it when they reached for Pascal Siakam with their second first-round pick in 2016. I remember Raptors fans being outraged when they passed on projected top 10 picks Deontay Davis and Skal Labissière for a 22-year-old prospect who was projected to go somewhere in the second round. Weltman was the VP of basketball operations at the time, and he and Masai were both responsible for targeting and scouting Siakam. Moving on briefly to John Hammond, he was the GM of the Bucks and hit a grand slam with Giannis Antetokounmpo in 2013, but also swung hard and missed with Thon Maker in 2016. Maker was projected to go late in the first round, but was taken 10th overall that year. We had the next pick and he was never on our radar. It was just a surprise pick, and boy did that backfire. So what I'm trying to say with all this is that both of them are known to make bold decisions and have a specific type that they look for in a prospect. They've also stuck with the same blueprint with the Magic. For example, they reached for Chuma Okeke in 2019. That pick was controversial to a lot of Magic fans, as Chuma was slated to go late in the first round or the second round, and we had already committed to Aaron Gordon at the time, proving that they don't really draft for fit. They just take the best talent available in their mind, not what the draft experts think. Cole Anthony was projected to go anywhere from our pick to 30th. And yeah, Cole wasn't really a reach, but we still took a chance on him after an injury-plagued and inefficient year at UNC. And I can't remember him being linked with us at all. Most mocks had us taking RJ Hampton, Tyrese Maxey, or even Kira Lewis, but not Cole. By the way, don't take all this as negative. You need to take risks in order to succeed in the NBA, or in any walk of life for that matter. Weltman and Hammond have done a solid job drafting so far for the Magic, maybe except for Bamba, but I'll give Mo a year under new coaching staff before I decide if he was a letdown or whatnot. Weltman and Hammond weren't afraid to make controversial picks in the past, so why should we expect anything different this time around? In fact, they need to swing harder now and find that superstar more than ever, cause time is running out in their contracts. Therefore, as Magic fans, we should brace for a surprise pick. Which brings me to the purpose of this video, and my next video as well. where I'm going to break down 3 dark horse prospects that the Magic front office could be interested in my personal opinion, with the 8th pick or by trading down. And also why I personally would want the Magic to take a gamble on them. So let's get into it. Alright, so the first player that the Magic could take a chance on is Kai Jones, who is projected to go anywhere between 10th to 20th. Kai is a sophomore from Texas who has the potential to fit the perfect big man archetype for where the NBA game is headed towards. His advanced stats were very impressive and drastically improved from his freshman season. We all know how much our front office values defense, and Kai certainly has all the tools to be a versatile two-way star in the mold of a Pascal Siakam or Christian Wood. Kai has an intriguing jumper to go along with his blazing speed, high motor, and length. His absolute ceiling is KG or Giannis, and on the flip side, he could easily wind up with the Beijing Ducks in about 4 or 5 years. That's how much of a wild card Kai Jones is. He has the highest boom to bust potential outside the projected top 5 in my opinion. Now, there are several reasons why the Magic could select Kai. One of them is that he's such a fluid athlete with above average handles for someone 6'11.5" in shoes. He shows glimpses of Giannis with his long strides towards the rim. He can damn near Eurostep his way towards the rim from the 3-point line. Another reason is his potential as a big who could genuinely switch from 1 through 5 and could potentially team up with J.I. and form a terrorizing front court on defense. Just think about the possibilities, the way they'll be able to switch out on the perimeter and also effectively switch onto each other's bigs. It would be too tantalizing for us to pass up. At their full potential, no team would be able to exploit us on defense like how the Clippers exploited Gobert and Favors in the playoffs. They both can effectively close out threes and stop dribble penetration. There aren't that many bigs out there in the NBA who can do those things, and we'll have 2 potentially if Kai pans out. Like, the Jazz probably would have won a title by now if they had at least one of those types. And I'm dreaming for sure, as this would be the perfect scenario for us, 2 modern switchable bigs that could stretch the floor. I just hope that J.I. spent time improving his jumper this past year, and Kai comes in and proves that he can stretch the floor as well with the help of Jamal Mosley. Now, the crazy thing is that Kai could play small forward as well. He doesn't move like a big out there at all. If J.I. and Chuma continue to improve their shot, then we'd be set with our front court. And hopefully the Magic are thinking long term like I am. Just in our division alone, we need multiple bigs that could stay on quicker guards out on the perimeter and also swat away shots if they drive towards the rim. We'll have to deal with Trae Young, Bogdan Bogdanovic, Kevin Huerter, and jokes aside, Tyler Hero and whoever the Heat sign at shooting guard, point guard for the next 10 years unfortunately. Oh, I can't forget about LaMelo too. Plus the bigs we'll have to face, like Bam Adebayo, who I believe will develop a jump shot in a couple of years, Joel Embiid, Giannis Antetokounmpo, and unfortunately, Evan Mobley. So yeah, Kai can already attack closeouts at a pro level and stay on with quicker players. Kai looks very natural sliding his feet out on the perimeter. As you can see here, him holding his own and then some when he's lost out on an island with Cade Cunningham. Kai utilizes his 7'2" wingspan well and has elite lateral quickness for his size to stay with his man. Here he was able to stay with quick UNC guard Caleb Love. Now you're probably asking, well, isn't he exactly the same type of prospect as Mo Bamba? Yeah and no. Here's what separates the two. Kai has a much higher motor. He shot better from 3 with the same volume, is more agile, even though Bamba is kind of quick for his size, but Kai is on a whole in his own level in terms of quickness for his size. Kai is also a better ball handler in transition and doesn't shy away from contact. Kai is also a better passer. Mo Bamba played nearly twice as many minutes in 2018 as Kai did this past year and still managed to tally fewer assists than Kai. Bamba posted an assist percentage of just 3.6% to Kai's 5.4%. Nothing great, but keep in mind that Mo had a much larger role on offense at Texas and was expected to do more in terms of his all-around game. In addition, the spacing was awful this past season at Texas. With so many bigs out on the floor, open shots to kick out to were too limited. Speaking of motor, Kai has one speed, and that's going hard at 100 miles per hour. You won't find any effort issues with him at all. His high motor could definitely allow him to become a fan favorite early on. Mamba, on the other hand, takes plays off at times and doesn't aggressively steal off for rebounds. That won't be the case at all with Kai. And FYI, I'm still a Bamba believer. He will prove his doubters wrong, but I just had to differentiate the two because there's gonna be some Magic fans that will unfairly compare the two. To touch up on his speed, Kai's speed is just an outlier for his size. I've seen him beat guards down the floor multiple times at Texas. It was truly a sight to behold, and I'm not exaggerating. Now, Kai has only played organized ball since the age of 15, and the way he plays at times clearly outlines his inexperience, as he could get lost off ball on defense a lot at times, being out of position, committing stupid fouls, as being foul prone was the main reason why he didn't start at Texas. In addition, he makes frustrating mistakes, for example standing way out on the baseline instead of the dunker spot on offense. He also has no real post-up game yet. If we draft him, then be ready for him to be on the Lakeland Magic for the majority of the year. But that's fine, as Siakam did the same for the Raptors and he was 23 years old as a rookie. We have time, cause it's gonna be a long rebuild. Now Kai is Bajan, but he moved to Orlando at the age of 12 and then moved back to the Bahamas to pursue a career in long jump. That proves that he's a real track athlete on the court. We use that term a lot to describe athletic prospects, but Kai was a legit track athlete until his growth spurt, which influenced him to pursue basketball. He moved back to Orlando once again and attended Orlando Christian Prep before transferring to Brewster Academy and eventually becoming a 4-star recruit. So he has some familiarity with Central Florida, which also has a sizable Caribbean population. And he would relatively be closer to his family, and that could help him settle down and just concentrate on basketball. Alright, so I'm going to break down his offensive game. Kai puts his speed to use in transition, as he averaged an impressive 1.29 points per transition possession, which ranked him in the 86th percentile. Kai is a quick leaper and can effortlessly elevate in traffic. His rim running and lob catching potential could help out our young guards and playmakers and unlock their potential. Kai has shown to have excellent timing on cuts and can finish well around the rim. He averaged 1.35 points per shot around the rim, which put him amongst the 83rd percentile. He shot 67% around the basket when rolling. He also has the ability to dunk on 2 or 3 people without momentum. The thing with Kai is that he really needs to bulk up, be better at catching the ball, and also become better at setting screens, but those are all fixable flaws. His jump shot is the epitome of, as one of my favorite draft YouTubers, Florence Sealing, put it, where there's smoke, there must be fire. His form isn't perfect, his release is kind of slow, and he pushes off a little bit, but there's potential there, and potential of being a legit pick and pop threat. Kai averaged 1.13 points per catch and shoot jump shots in the half court, which ranked him in the 70th percentile. He also shot nearly 70% from the line, which gives us confidence that he's gonna extend his range eventually. A couple of more encouraging signs with regards to his shooting was that both his 3-point and free throw percentages saw a 5% increase in efficiency from his freshman year. Now, he wasn't a high volume 3-point shooter, as he averaged 1.3 attempts, but he converted at a high rate by shooting 38%. And he shot better than Mo Bamba, who was also touted as another pick and pop threat, but Bamba shot only 27% on roughly the same attempts. And Jackson Hayes, who was another Longhorn that Kai is compared to, didn't even attempt a 3 in college. The allure with Kai is that he's somewhat of a 7-foot unicorn out there. He's shown the ability to hit tough turnaround shots and fadeaway shots from the post. It's crazy because he was taking step back threes like he was Embiid out there, and it looked natural. That is what differentiates him from other similar prospects in the draft, for example Isaiah Jackson, JT Thor, and Usman Garuba. And on that topic, Kai has shown flashes of being a good passer. Not a playmaking option yet, but a decent passer for his size, which is another factor that separates him from other bigs in this draft. Now, having said all that, I admit that I'm a victim of his highlight package. Just by looking at his reels, you would think that he's a top 3 prospect. I've heard and listened to numerous college analysts talk about Kai and say how raw he is as a prospect, and that for every great highlight, there were 2 frustrating mistakes that he made in the game. But the thing is that he just started playing basketball, 5 years ago, 6 years ago? He has learned a lot so far, and I trust him to reach his potential as compared to other prospects similar to him, because 1, he loves the game of basketball, as Longhorn fans can attest to, and 2, he has great work ethic. Kai is a long way away from reaching his potential, but his unique skill set for his size could be too enticing for the Magic to pass up. We all know how much of an emphasis our front office puts on defense, and Kai could be a special 2-way player, and at the very least, he's going to be a switchable big off the bench who could rim run and be an energizer bunny, similar to Bo Outlaw back in the day. I could foresee Weltman and Hammond counting on Kai to come in and prove his doubters wrong, like Jaden McDaniels did with the Wolves. Jaden was a similar raw two-way big man prospect coming out of last year's draft, and he really impressed this year. The Spurs have expressed interest in Kai Jones, and honestly, if the Spurs like him, then that bodes well for his future. When push comes to shove, just draft whoever the Spurs would and sleep well on it. And wow, did he stand out in yesterday's clutch pro day. Talk about bounce, and he knocked down his threes once he got warmed up. He was Mike Schmidt's favorite prospect there. Even Worldwide Wahab became his #1 fan after being present at that pro day. I'm all in too, and I know Weltman and Hammond are as well based on their drafting history. Kai Jones fits the prototype of what Weltman and Hammond prefer. A prospect who has superstar top 5 value at a late lottery price. A prospect who is athletic, lengthy, and has two-way potential. The draft pattern of both Weltman and Hammond depicts that they don't take the consensus pick. Rather, they take whoever they feel has the best upside regardless of their projected draft spot. They've shocked their fan bases before, and I'm just warning y'all to expect it again. Maybe they finally go the safer route and pick the consensus best player available. I wouldn't mind that, but I'm just expecting a surprise. As I mentioned earlier, Weltman and Hammond are running out of time. And if I were them, then I'll just swing for the fences with both our picks. If they work out, then they're going to be hailed as geniuses. If they fail, then they won't even be around to face the repercussions of drafting busts, since their contracts probably wouldn't be renewed. They probably would find another job based on their past success with the Raptors and Bucks respectively. So expect them to just go for home runs with both our picks. I mean, John Hammond drew out an ace with Giannis Antetokounmpo in 2013 when time was running out in his reign in Milwaukee. Could Kai Jones prove to be as lucky as Giannis? We'll see. Alright guys, so that's the end of part 1. In part 2, I'm going to continue with this topic in my next video where I'll break down 2 more dark horse prospects that the Magic could target for the 8th overall pick. One of them is similar to Kai, and the other is quite literally the opposite. So please like, share, and subscribe for more Orlando Magic content, and also hit that notification button so you'll be alerted whenever I release new videos.